Amanda Chen should never have accepted the night cleaning job at São Bento Technical School. But at 19, fresh out of high school and desperate for college money, she couldn't afford to turn down an opportunity that paid twice the minimum wage. What she didn't know was why they were paying so much to clean a nearly empty school in the wee hours of the morning. "The job is simple," explained Mr. Cardoso, the head custodian, as he handed over the keys and a map of the school. "You clean the main building between midnight and 5 in the morning. There's only one absolute rule: never, under any circumstances, go down to the basement. The door is locked for a reason." Amanda found the restriction strange, but didn't question it. Work was work. For the first 2 weeks, the routine was quiet. Colegio São Bento was a 1970s building, with long hallways and spacious rooms that echoed her footsteps. During the day, it served as a technical school for about 200 students. At night, it transformed into a silent labyrinth that Amanda navigated with her cleaning products and headphones. But it was in the third week that she began to hear the sounds. At first, they were subtle noises. The creak of chairs being scraped, the muffled sound of voices talking, footsteps echoing from the upper floors even when she knew she was alone in the building. Amanda tried to rationalize. Old buildings make noise, heating, plumbing, thermal expansion, but the sounds were becoming more specific, more disturbing. On Friday night of the third week, while cleaning room 203, Amanda distinctly heard the sound of a class taking place upstairs. Student voices responding in unison, the scratch of chalk on the blackboard, even occasional laughter. She stopped scrubbing the floor and listened. The class seemed normal until Amanda realized the voices were all identical, as if the same person were answering over and over, creating an artificial and deeply disturbing chorus. She went upstairs to investigate. The second floor was completely dark and silent. But when she went downstairs, the sound started again, this time coming from the first floor, where she had just been. Stress from working the night shift, she muttered to herself, but her hands shook as she went back to cleaning. It was in the fourth week that Amanda discovered the source of the sounds. She was cleaning the first floor bathroom when she heard water running through the pipes. But it wasn't ordinary water. The sound was viscous, as if something thick was flowing through the pipes. She followed the sound to a wall that shouldn't have had plumbing. Inspecting more closely, Amanda discovered that the tiles in this section of the wall were loose. Carefully, she removed some and found a narrow passage leading down to the basement. Amanda knew she should stop. She knew Mr. Cardoso had been specific about not going underground. But curiosity and a strange compulsion kept her going. She grabbed a flashlight and began descending. The passage was narrow and damp, with raw concrete walls that exuded a sticky dampness. After about 10 feet of descent, she emerged into a room that clearly wasn't on the school's official architectural plans. The room was spacious, with a low ceiling and several glass partitions creating smaller cubicles. Each cubicle contained a school desk, an old video camera mounted on the ceiling, and something that made Amanda's blood run cold: chains attached to the desk legs. Along the main wall, dozens of old television monitors were stacked, all turned off. Below them, rusted metal filing cabinets held folders labeled with codes: Subject B701, Subject B702, and so on, up to Subject B7127. Amanda picked up one of the folders with trembling hands. Inside were photographs that made her gasp. The photos showed children and teenagers sitting at desks in cubicles, clearly in a state of terror. Some images captured moments of pure panic, faces contorted in silent screams, eyes wide with horror, hands flailing against the chains. But what disturbed Amanda most were the clinical notes attached to the photos. Subject B7043. After 72 hours of repetitive auditory stimulation, the subject exhibits signs of complete dissociation. It is recommended to proceed to phase 2 of the experiment. Subject B7089. Prolonged exposure to audio loops induced permanent auditory hallucinations. Subject responds only to recorded commands. Partial success. Amanda continued reading, each page revealing increasing horrors. Apparently, in the 1980s, the school had been used for illegal psychological experiments on students. Children were kidnapped, brought to these underground cubicles, and subjected to systematic psychological torture. The goal? To create completely malleable subjects through extreme conditioning. It was when Amanda found the final folder that her world fell apart. Subject B7127, Amanda Chen, age 19 years. Status, initial training complete. Subject demonstrates ideal exploratory curiosity pattern. Preliminary auditory conditioning successfully applied through nocturnal sound stimulation. Proceeding to capture and restraint is recommended. The attached photo was of her, taken without her knowledge during her first weeks on the job. Amanda dropped her briefcase and ran toward the passage. But when she got there was no passage, just a solid wall. She was trapped. It was then that the lights came on fully in the underground room, and Amanda heard the voice that had been haunting her for weeks, but now coming from hidden speakers. Welcome to Phase 2, Subject B7127. The voice continued, mechanically calm. For the past 4 weeks, you have been exposed to auditory stimuli designed to increase your suggestibility and reduce your psychological resilience. The sounds you attributed to building noises were actually specific frequencies that alter brainwave patterns. Amanda struggled against the wall, but it was rock solid. Your sleep patterns were monitored and altered through subliminal exposure to strobe lights, invisible to the naked eye but detectable by the subconscious brain. Your cognitive function was systematically compromised. The TV monitors began to light up one by one, each showing recordings of Amanda during her weeks of work. But the recordings showed things she didn't remember doing. Conversations with people who weren't there. Episodes of erratic behavior. Moments when she stopped working and stood still for long periods, apparently listening to something. As you can see, the initial conditioning was a remarkable success. You were already operating in a semi-dissociative state for several hours a night. Amanda watched, horrified as recordings of herself acted like a completely different person, obedient, responsive to commands she couldn't hear on the recordings. Project B7 was never shut down, Subject 127. It just evolved. You're not our first night shift, nor will you be our last. One of the glass partitions opened with a pneumatic hiss. Please take your place at your designated workstation. Amanda didn't want to move, but found her legs were walking independently. The conditioning had worked better than she'd imagined. As she sat at her desk, her hands moving to fasten the chains around her own wrists without her being able to stop them, Amanda heard other voices joining. The chorus from the speakers. They were the voices of other night shift workers who had worked at the school over the years, all speaking in unison, all repeating the same mantras of obedience that now echoed in her own mind. We are the subjects of Project B7. The voices chanted in unsettling harmony. We are malleable. We are obedient. We are perfect. Amanda felt her own voice joining the chorus, even as her conscious mind screamed in protest. 6 months later, the school hired a new night shift worker. Mariana, 20, desperately needed money for college. The job is simple, Mr. Cardoso explained, handing over the keys. You clean the main building between midnight and 5 in the morning. There's only one absolute rule. Never, under any circumstances, go down to the basement. Mariana found the restriction strange, but didn't question it. Work was work, and in the basement, Amanda and 126 other voices began singing softly through the speakers, preparing their new colleague for the initial phase of conditioning.